Hey, Steve Mignon here on the Steve Mag's YouTube channel. We're not doing the junkyard crawl today. It's snowy, it's cold, so we're indoors, but that's okay. Today we're going to be talking some model cars real quick, and this is the story of Miss Deal's near miss. Now, if you're a model builder, you'll remember the Revell Miss Deal Studebaker funny car. A weird creature, kind of. You know, it's a really realistic body, at least at first glance, but it has an altered wheelbase and has a really kind of weird, flip-top construction here. And if you look really closely, you'll recognize the Chrysler Firepower Hemi and the wheels and the tires and various other bits from other Revell model kits along the line. By contrast, of course, Studebaker kit was also done by AMT, and here it is, the double whammy. This model came out, and here's the result of it. You could build this stock if you wanted to, or as a Bonneville-inspired sort of drag car with this crazy, again, Chrysler Hemi, but with two blowers sitting on this bizarre double whammy supercharger intake manifold. Cool model, has this crazy clear plastic sort of blown hood that fits like that, and it's a neat little model. But you know, there's some intrigue behind these, and when I call this the Miss Deal's near miss, I'm talking about the fact that AMT and Revell were in heated competition back in the mid-60s, and this 2002 book by Thomas Graham, this is Remembering Revell Model Kits from Schiffer Publishing, again 2002 this came out. This tells the story about how Revell found out that AMT was in the process of tooling a Studebaker kit and decided at the last minute, even though they'd started work on theirs, to stop. So here's the story. Let me read this. Again, this is from Thomas Graham's 2002 book, Remembering Revell Model Kits from Schiffer Publishing. Page 82. It says here, the second new funny car, the Miss Deal, had an even more interesting genesis. Years earlier, and this is, we're talking probably 1967, so years earlier would have been 1962 or 3. Years earlier, Revell had begun development of a 53 Studebaker and got as far as cutting the body mold. In other words, this thing right here, the body. But in the midst of this work, Revell's spy network learned that AMT also planned on bringing out a 53 Studebaker. Since both companies generally tried to avoid duplicating each other's kits, and even had a rough gentleman's agreement to that effect, Revell put its Studebaker project on the shelf. A fellow named Bob Payeth, who was the sales manager for model kits at Revell, remembered this abandoned Studebaker body mold, which had not yet received engraved door or trunk lines. And thought it would look just fine as a funny car body, since real dragster bodies were just fiberglass shells. He used an existing chassis and the Chrysler V8 engine from the custom car parts. The only problem was that the chassis had a shorter wheelbase than the Studebaker, but enlarging the body wheel wells resulted in a satisfactory outcome. So that's the story of the Miss Deal near miss. So if we take a second look at this model, it kind of makes sense. The model itself is very realistic. It looks like they were about to do a 53 Studebaker along the same lines as, say, Revell's 1955 Chevy, which was a fantastic model. You might recall the 55 Chevy and the 57 Chevy and the 57 Nomad could all be built as stock vehicles. There were custom parts also, but you could build them with opening doors, opening trunks. Beautiful models, again, 55 and 57 and 56 Chevys. And it's possible, or it looks like, they were about to release or thinking about a 53 Studebaker along the same lines, a bone stock Studebaker. How cool that would have been. But again, when Revell learned that AMT was about to beat them to the punch, they put this thing on ice. And as Bob Payeth describes in this book, his quote, they didn't cut the door lines in. Well, there's none here. There's no trunk cut in. There's none here. And they altered the wheelbase to get it to work with the chassis they whipped up for this thing. So it's an interesting fact that the Miss Deal funny car was a bit of a near miss, frankly, and it's kind of an interesting thing that the intrigue that goes on behind the scenes at model manufacturers is about as fascinating as what goes on in the real auto industry. So that's the story of Miss Deals Near Miss. And again, if you want to read about it, this is the 2002 book, Remembering Revell Model Kits, available from Schiffer Publishing. It may or may not still be in print, I don't know, but you can probably find a copy online. It's a great read, by the way. It's full of the whole history of the Revell dynasty from the beginning to the end, and all the way through the monogram merger and all that kind of stuff. And again, Revell, one of the pioneers in model kits, plastic model kits, going all the way back to the early 1950s with the Highway Pioneers. Maybe we'll talk about those on another video. And keep in mind, we're still doing junkyard crawls, muscle car crawls, and in the garage stuff with my 62 Dark police car. So stay tuned to the Steve Magnante YouTube channel to see more of that stuff. Every day is a new day. So again, please subscribe to the Steve Magnante YouTube channel.